author and nutritionist Robert Ferguson. Please welcome Robert Ferguson.
All right, y'all, let's hear it for America's Fat Loss Coach, Robert Ferguson!
Hello. Is it me you're waiting on? I'm changing the words up. Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Roberto Lorenzo Ferguson coming in live on a Saturday. Yes, a Saturday. And I've been wanting to share what I'm about to share with you. And I just wanted the timing to be right. And I'm in a really good, relaxed state. And this is information that I'm going to share that will help anyone who wants to be healthier, anyone who actually helps other people. Maybe you're a personal trainer, maybe you're a coach, a health coach, maybe you're a nutritionist, a dietitian, maybe you want to become something like that. Well, what I'm going to share with you is something that anyone in that space would benefit from being aware of. And at the same time, anyone who has lost weight maybe in the past, and then you gained it back, then you lost it again, and you gained it back. The story and what I'm going to share with you may be very helpful for you. Now, if you can't catch this live, maybe you're around some people, because I want you to really listen to what I'm going to share. Now, most recently, we had a coach retreat in Darlington, Wisconsin. And during the retreat, at one point, I was given the opportunity by Amy Prine, who was the host, to do a seminar, to host a seminar, present a seminar for the general public, the people who live in Darlington. And so that was about 2 hours. And then all the coaches got to come, and I just did a talk. I just talked for a couple hours. And then that time, we went over 2 hours. I answered a lot of questions for people because it was really about the people. But the thing that I closed on was this thing called adverse childhood experience. So I'm going to say it again, because you can look this up. There's some TED Talks, I believe, out there, and I haven't watched any, but I'm sure they're good. Not long ago, Oprah Winfrey teamed up with a specialist who understands adverse childhood experiences, and they shared. It's a very uplifting book, but it helps a person understand why we do some of the things we do, right? Because at the end of the day, if it really was about just knowing how to eat and how to exercise and lose weight, almost everybody would do it. Now, there's ways to do it better, and that's why we have a Diet for Your Life methodology. And if what I'm going to share with you, you go, you know what, man, I'm thinking about a new career. Maybe I want a part-time job. Become a Diet for Your Life coach. And with us, you become a nutritionist, a health and a weight loss coach. And you can help a whole bunch of people. Maybe you start with your family, or maybe your community, or maybe you become the wellness director for your church or your synagogue. I don't know. All I know is that our coaches do well who are fully engaged. They have taken my life's work, which I make their work, and puts everybody in a position to win. So I'm going to share a story with you. Okay. Fascinating story. And I want you to stay with me. Now, there was this, and this is where, adverse childhood experience kind of developed. Now, before I go there real quick, if you're new to us, please share. Sharing is caring. And that's why I do what I do. I'm about to share some information, and some personal trainer, gym owner, if they're actually paying attention and they hear this, it'll help them be better at what they do. Because I would say 99% of gym owners, fitness studio owners, nutritionists, dietitians that I meet don't know what I'm about to share. They don't. But I've been doing it for a long time. This is what I do, and I'm like really good at it. And I can say that because one of my clients was Gold's Gym. They're the largest co-ed gym in the world. Most recently, I did work and consulted World's Gym. They're right behind them. And then you have the Aetnas and the Anthems and the big Fortune 20 companies that I continue to do work with. You don't get those kind of opportunities unless you know little cool things that I'm about to share. Okay, so And that's not bragging. I'm just sharing. I want you to acknowledge or at least be aware that this is some good stuff. Okay. Now, in my work, I just happen to have a master's in counseling psychology. And I've been in this space for a long time as far as understanding the psychology around weight loss. And I was intrigued with the whole story and the development with adverse childhood experiences as it pertains to getting healthier and losing weight. So back in the day, in the early 80s, there was this clinician, and he wanted to come up with a solution for the problem with obesity. Now, the problem, nothing's changed. It continued to get worse. And so in his mind, he had the idea that if there's a problem, then let's provide a solution. So this woman that you can see on the screen, if you're listening, you can see it. This woman comes into their clinic at the age of 28 years old. She's 408 pounds. They put her on their program, which as part of their program, you had to come in every week. They had these meetings, etc. And in 51 weeks, she gets down to 132 pounds. Now, if you look to the left, most of us would say, okay, that was the problem. And if you look at the woman on the right, we obviously have a solution. So they were excited. The clinicians were excited. And so then this lady, who you can see on the screen, she didn't come in for about 3 weeks. And then she comes in, they hadn't seen her. Hey, where you been? They have her get on the scale. And I believe she was up 37 or 39 pounds in 3 weeks. So they're like, wow, you gained that much weight in 3 weeks? So the clinician started pressing her. Why? What happened? Well, at first she was like, I don't know. Maybe I was eating too much. I just wasn't realizing it. But as he continued to press, she said about 4 weeks ago, she was at work. And now we're about to get into it, you guys. Stay with me. And if you have questions as I go over this, feel free to post your questions in the comments. I appreciate that. But especially if you can relate to what I'm sharing. And some people are going to catch this who have heard me share this story. They were at the retreat. Maybe they're a coach. Maybe it's the first time you're hearing this. Remember, adverse childhood experiences is what we're talking about. This is where all this develops, which now touches on a whole bunch of different aspects of life. But we're talking about weight loss right now. Weight gain, weight loss. Well, she said 4 weeks ago, she was at work. And this gentleman, who was much older gentleman, he approached her and he started kind of making advances on her. And he basically asked her if he could have sex with her. And right after that, she started to gain the weight. And so she's talking to this doctor and she says, when I was a little kid, around the age of 8, and shortly thereafter, she would sleepwalk. And so basically what she's saying is that she lives by herself up to 4 weeks ago. And every night before she goes to bed, she would always clean up, wash the dishes and go to bed. And then she noticed after the interaction with that gentleman, she would wake up in the morning and there would be dishes out and there would be like leftover food. So she was sleep eating. But as the doctor continued to push, she shared with the doctor that when she was 10 years old, her grandfather had vaginal sex with her. And not just once, but from the time she was 10 to the time she was 21 years of age. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This clinician who discovered this realized that what this woman, as you can see to the left, what she recognized or what we recognize as a problem, meaning she's obese, and what we recognize as a solution, because she's down to 132 pounds, was a complete opposite. See, for her, because of her past experience, her past painful experience, Being 132 pounds brought on attention that she did not want. So that became the problem. So the solution was to get back to 408 pounds, because at 408 pounds, she didn't get that kind of attention. Now, I could go on and on, not extremes like this, but I could share with you how women will start to lose weight. Many of my clients over the years, and their husband will make a comment, or boyfriend, and say, hey, I noticed that the weight loss is not coming off the midsection as much. You're losing it in your chest. So now she becomes insecure about that. And without even realizing, she starts to sabotage her success because she don't want to lose weight from her chest and maybe her bum. She wants to lose it in other areas, and you can't spot train like that. This happens all too often. I've had many clients tell me that their weight loss challenges started when they were young, and their daddy looked at them and maybe blew his cheek, like puffed up his cheeks when they were eating a little bit more than what he thought would be ideal. I've had clients tell me that they were married and the husband would have them step on the scale, not once, but sometimes 3 times in one day. That's post-traumatic stress disorder. This stuff is real. And when you're coaching people on nutrition and fitness, it ain't all about just fitness and nutrition. You must be able to coach them from a psychological standpoint. And that's what I train my coaches to be able to do. To be able to meet someone where they are with an amazing methodology. So we got the nutrition down. We're unequaled. We are. There's no better methodology of eating than what we have. So our coaches are strong there. And we understand everybody gets fitness. But the power play is in knowing how to communicate with someone and put them in a position where they can win. So this lady that you see on the screen right here, she gained all her weight back. And about 12 years went by, and her family was concerned. And so they raised about $20,000 so she can get bariatric surgery. And even then, that was not enough. And I've done the work in that, and I could go on and on and on about that. Now, I'm going to share with you a story. And this is a real story of when I was able to put into effect a solution that helped one of my clients who was well over 400 pounds, who had lost 100 pounds with me on 3 separate occasions. And every time she lost 100 pounds, she would gain it back. But on the 4th time, she not only lost the weight, but went on to lose well over 200 and something pounds. And it wasn't because of what I advised her to do with nutrition. It wasn't about her just knowing how to exercise. It was a really cool technique on how to learn how to accept unwanted and wanted realities, and then move into forgiveness and forgive yourself, and sometimes forgiving someone else. And then the breakthrough takes place. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share this with you. Okay. And this is what happened. This is a real story. Very powerful story. And then I'll be out of here. So as I mentioned, this client had lost and gained 100 pounds 3 times. And then she called me and she says, hey, Robert, I would love to meet with you. Will you take me on as a client again? I go, absolutely. I said, I'll never give up. And anyone who knows me, I don't give up on my clients. They will give up way before I will. I will be right here waiting on them. Let's go. And I encourage any coach that is working with us who's certified to teach the methodology, do the same. And if they're not that, and you're out there and you hear me and maybe you're a client, let me know. Because I will like reach out to them, because I don't want people working with me or part of our Diet Free Life family to be that way. I only want to work with people who are in it for the right reasons. For the right reasons. We're not into all the crazy diets and lies and all that crap. Okay, we're into the truth. And here's an example of the truth. I'm working with this lady for the 4th time. And in that 4th time, at one point, she tells me a story that she had never shared with me ever. She said that when she was a teenager, and this woman's now in her late 40s, she says, when I was a teenager, I was babysitting my niece. And her niece was a little shy of 4 years old. And they were sitting outside playing and just kind of hanging out. And so my client said she decided to run into the house to grab a soda. So when she goes into the house to get a soda, she comes right back out and the little girl's gone. She's like, where's my niece? Where's my niece? She's looking around. She's in panic mode. Well, the niece got kidnapped. And when they found her, she had been molested, she had been raped, and she had been killed. So every time my client would lose weight and start to feel better about herself, she would sabotage because she didn't feel worthy based on what had happened in her past experience. And so at that point, we have a 5-step process that I teach all of our coaches. And if you were a coach, you would know this 5-step, or if you're a client, you could learn it also. But we take them through these 5 steps, and you tend to get hung up on number 4. And then the full breakthrough takes place with number 5, which has a lot to do with forgiveness. And you don't get there in one session. It takes a little bit of time. But I can tell you this. She got to the point where she could forgive herself because there was rules, there was moral breakdown, there were some challenges going on in her head because of what happened to her niece. And she took the blame, like she held on to it. And then, of course, the person who did it, who was still in jail or prison, she got to the point, I kid you not, where she did forgive him for what he did. That was powerful. And it's interesting. I think for the very first time, as I'm sharing this through podcasts, on video, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that, this is the very first time I'm sharing this that I'm not getting choked up. I mean, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I usually have to take a moment and cry because I just relive the time I had with her. And when she got to that place where she moved into forgiveness, man, the flood of tears. And after that, this woman went down almost 300 pounds in weight. And the weight ain't coming back. It wasn't knowing how to eat. It wasn't knowing what to do with exercise. And I know there's a lot of people who they don't really know who to talk to. And things are not in alignment, right? So let's say you have a great therapist and the therapist is amazing. But yet the therapist can't tell you what to eat or guide you with nutrition or guide you on fitness. So it's broken. You know, it's like where I live in California, right? Because I'm between California and Boca Raton, Florida. So in Ventura County, California, we have this place called the Four Seasons. And when they were opening up this thing called the California Wellbeing Institute, I was the first person that they hired that wasn't part of the full-time team. And their goal was to create something where people would come from all over the world and they would get this 360-degree experience, which touched on fitness, how we move, nutrition, and, mindset, the psychology of life and all of that. And I was like, wow, you guys are doing what I'm doing. And so one of the main people that they hired to help put this together was my client. So she told them about me. Then that's how I got brought in. And I said, you're going to have one major problem. And they said, well, what's that? I said, the people in the psychology wing or department are not thinking the same way as the people in your nutrition wing, where they teach people how to cook and they understand nutrition and all that. And they don't understand, and they're disconnected from the people in the activity, the fitness wing. You have broken ways of thinking. The culture is not in alignment. So when you take someone who's a coach and everything is in alignment and they have tools for each one of those legs, right? Fitness, nutrition, psychology, boom, now you got it. But without that, a lot of coaches will fall short. So just learning about nutrition ain't the answer. Just think about it. Look at the personal trainers. They're probably really good at personal training. They think they know a little bit about nutrition. Not all, but quite a few. And so it's not the same. And they definitely don't have the psychology. But yet they're trying to help someone in all those areas to make them whole. So you have a breakdown. And the proof in the pudding is look around. Since 1960, we've continued to become more unhealthy, more sick. There's more people talking about nutrition, more people talking about fitness, more people talking about health, but yet we continue to become worse and worse and worse and worse off. What's the solution? Is it just, all right, I'm just going to learn how to eat? No, it's not that. You want to blend it all together, you guys. Once you blend it, then you got it. And so for me, I was coming more from the mindset, the psychology from day one. I totally understood the fitness because I'm a former Marine, former pro athlete. I get it. I've been an athlete my whole life, did sports, blah, blah, blah. So I get the fitness side. The nutrition was new. I came from the psychology side because of training. So I just really needed to get the nutrition. And then when I got the nutrition, it was all designed around, you got to meet people where they are, which is psychology. And so if you meet people where they are psychologically, and you have the tools to help them based on what is available to them, and even from a psychology standpoint, if you understand that people will, like, sometimes when you work with someone, you want to be thinking, okay, what are you willing to do? And then what are you capable of doing? Right? Someone could say, I'm willing to run, but yet they're bound to a wheelchair. Well, you're not capable of doing that. That basic elementary understanding sets up everything. And then everyone's in a different place, right? So I'll have people who don't want to exercise. They have no interest. They do not want to exercise. That's fine. But they're willing to learn about nutrition. Let's start there. And every time I've had those experiences, that person eventually wakes up and goes, all right, so what if I started exercising? Boom. I'm waiting on them to do it. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out here, and you're going to hear me talk about this more and more because I'm starting to really grow and pour into our Diet Free Life Institute, where we train and coach people to do what I've done over the years and put them in a position where they could take it to another level. I know this space really well. And oftentimes someone could know the nutrition, they could have it down, they could be a scientist, but they don't got the psychology. Some got the psychology, but don't know the difference between glucose and fructose. And some got the nutrition and the psychology. Okay, that's pretty good. But yet they don't know how to they have no interest in exercise and can't even think about helping somebody else. You got to be able to meet people right where they are. We look at it as a three-legged stool. And everyone is unique and everyone is different. If you're stuck, okay, and I'm going to end on this. If you are stuck, it's a psychological thing. You could be in a situation where maybe you lost a loved one. You know that you want to be healthier. You know it would be best for you to eat differently, become more active. But you're dealing with some serious mental hardships. You are challenged. And that's normal. And I get it. And it's not something that's done overnight, but it's not something that we want to wait 10 years to finally wake up and do something about it. So now to 10 years, come on, what can we do? And sometimes, in the words of Les Brown, who I admire, sometimes you got to just get started. That means you got to just do it. And as he would say, you don't need to be motivated. Use my motivation for now until yours kicks in. Do what I need you to do or ask you to do, and eventually yours will kick in. And that's true. I use that just to go work out. I don't want to work out all the time. I'd rather watch a show or watch I got other things I could be doing. But I know that once I do it, then I've never said, damn, I wish I didn't do that. It's always I got it done. There's a sense of accomplishment there. So anyway, it's interesting. And the other thing, I'll end on this, and this is a cool story because that same lady who had lost all that weight after we went through what we went through, she said one day she was at the bank and someone saw her who hadn't seen her in a while. And so the lady came up to her and said, "Hey, who's your doctor?" And my client goes, "Like, what do you mean, who's my doctor?" She goes, "Well, who did you get your bariatric surgery from?" And she goes, "I didn't get bariatric surgery. I work with this guy named Robert Ferguson." And the woman did not believe her. She could not believe her. Because who do you see losing 260 pounds without getting surgery? You don't hear about that. It's not celebrated. I mean, it happens. I mean, we've seen Biggest Loser and all that, but it's just not, most people are getting bariatric surgery. And what was interesting is that when my client was telling me the story, she said that the lady was intrigued about who her doctor was because she looked so healthy. And as you know, people who lose that much weight with bariatric, they don't look healthy. They look like they just came out of, chemo. Because we did it with food. We did it right. And so this is what I did. Okay. This is what I did. I said, "Hey, do you mind doing something for me?" She goes, "Yeah, what's that?" I said, "You know this lady, right?" She goes, "Oh, yeah." I said, "You have her number?" I said, "Yeah." "I want you to take her to lunch. So I'm going to give you," I gave her $75. "Here's $75, my treat. I want you to take her to lunch, and I want you to have what we call a boost meal." So a boost meal, for those of you who don't understand, like we have our clients eat a boost meal when it's almost like you eat double the amount that you normally would eat. And then my client goes, "Okay." I said, "Yeah, just meet with her and say, hey, it was good to see you. I want to treat you to lunch." And then I said, "Okay, do you want me to tell her anything about Diet for Your Life?" I says, "No." And she goes, "I don't quite get why you want me to do it." I said, "Because if you had bariatric surgery, you could not eat that much at one time. So you just eating that much and losing that much weight, you don't even got to say anything. Now, if she brings it up and asks, then you can tell her and she will believe you, because through your actions, through what she can see with her own eyes, it would be impossible for you to consume that much food, and have had bariatric surgery. You don't got to explain jack." Woo! Come on. Anyway, this is good, you guys. This is good. Hey, enjoy your Saturday. And you know what? Adverse childhood experiences, it's really intriguing, because if you grow up with a family where there's divorce, maybe a parent has taken their life, maybe you grew up, one of the parents or both of the parents had drug issues, alcoholic, all of that really weighs in on a person, and it shows up in their actions and the things they end up getting involved in as an adult. So when I see people act out, I don't judge them, because I don't know what their childhood was like. I don't know what took place. None of us do. When I see someone overweight, I don't judge them and say, why don't these people just start eating better? Like, what's wrong with these people? No, there's way more to the story than what you see in the photo. I'm Robert Ferguson. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Enjoy your weekend. And until the next one, well, go to dietforyourlife.com if you want to learn more. But until the next one, and there's always links that I make available. But until the next one, God bless and enjoy your weekend. Peace.